Want to really, so I wonder if I could have the lights up a little bit so I could see if anyone pops up their hand. Thank you. Questions, please. Anything that you're interested in that you'd like to know, more details? Anything about Gareth? Who will be brave with the first question? Oh, can't actually see, but would you shout out your question? Oh, hello, sorry, please.
You mentioned earlier that all factions were using illegal weapons. I quite frankly have lost the plot that's in, and I just don't know who's who and what is what.
Yeah.
Can you enlighten us a bit on who all the factions are?
I mean, we would be here a long time if we did that. But perhaps we could do that privately afterwards. I'll be more than happy to give you my version of events. I have to say I'm not a politician. I'm an engineer, so I'm not an expert in this. Suffice to say, it's incredibly difficult to know who's who. There's no doubt that the resurgence of ISIS, as you're seeing playing out in neighbouring Iraq, is related to what's going on in Syria. They are very strong inside northern Syria. There was a move by other opposition groups to push them away. They've come back. So their resurgence means Assad's stronger as a result. To a certain extent, he's been winning the conflict. And then the small groups are made up of all sorts of people. I mean, too numerous to even begin to understand. So it is a very complex mosaic. And that is what we have to navigate. It is really largely down to relationships, how you do that, and to have local knowledge to help you. If I went blundering around there, I'd get into terrible trouble in a heartbeat. But it's immensely complicated now, and frankly, the future looks even more complex. But I'll be happy to talk to you about it in more detail afterwards. Yeah, save everybody from having to listen all night.
But actually, that question's led me on to something which I'm actually very proud of Save the Children for, and that is the vaccination campaign inside
Amazing.
Syria. Now, we reached over 250,000 children in the middle of some of the fiercest fighting inside Syria. I can't give you locations, I'm sorry, I wish I could. But for us, that was a big achievement, because we had to bring all of those people to the table, because they were all fighting over this certain location.
I mean, diseases like polio have been largely eradicated in most of the world, including that part of the world. Polio re-emerging in the middle of this. It's because no children under 5 have been vaccinated for many years. Measles, typhoid, leishmaniasis. But this polio outbreak occurred last year, and it had the potential to spread throughout the Middle East and into Europe again. So somehow we managed to negotiate with local groups. You talk about these different groups. We talked to them and said, look, this is a simple vaccination. It's an oral drop. We've all had it. Let us give this to your children. You give it to them if you won't let us go anywhere near them. This is your future, and an extraordinary act. I think it will go down as one of our finest hours, actually, as an organisation that's approaching its 100th birthday.
Absolutely. Sorry, I went off on a slight tangent there. What other questions do we have, please?
You were just saying how they were receptive to this polio vaccination programme. In general, when you go there, how are you viewed? Are they pleased you're there? Are they receptive to the work you're doing? Or do they mistrust what you do?
It's a mixture. I mean, the local civilian population, the non-combatant population, are incredibly receptive and very organised, actually. So wherever you go within Syria, you will find organised local groups, just like the Save the Children ladies who are here tonight, our volunteers. That's how they do it. They organise in the same way you all organise. And then we're able to bring things to them. So it's a very practical arrangement with those we are trying to help. So, for example, right now, it may sound counterintuitive, here we are in the middle of summer, but we're preparing for next winter. Syria gets incredibly cold, so we can store winter supplies, blankets, mattresses, stove, fuels, and we talk to these local groups and say, we're coming with stuff. And they'll get organised. So that side of it works okay. It's just that you run the gauntlet of these checkpoints and these groups, and that's something that is just an everyday challenge, frankly.
Gareth, don't you find that as time has gone by, that there is a cynicism in Syria amongst the people you're helping towards you, though? That they see you in some ways embodying the cynicism of the West. You give them polio vaccinations, they get blown up, gas, shot.
Yeah. Not really. I mean, when you know, almost everybody who's working for us inside Syria is Syrian. So you know, they are their brothers and sisters. They are their own people. They're partner organisations. Do I think they are, as a population, you know, cynical towards the West, generally speaking, and the fact that that big geopolitical forces are in play, shades of the Cold War? Why has the world forgotten us? Yes. Does that feel like it's directed at us as people trying to help? Not really, to be honest.
Can I take one more question? Yeah, maybe there.
You say that you think the British government should be very impressive in Syria, and in particular the Foreign Secretary. Are you able to elaborate?
I think I've met with them both on this stuff, and they are statesmen, and they feel the importance of this. It's on their watch. That's how they feel about it. I went with the Foreign Secretary last year to the 18th anniversary of the Srebrenica massacre in the Balkans, and all the foreign secretaries from that period until today were lined up there, and they all felt, those who'd been around at that time, felt a sense of culpability in terms of the political efforts that had been made to stop a similarly awful war. And so that's playing strongly inside our leadership here in the UK, and you can see that it's very, very difficult. There are very intransigent views, but things like this next resolution, that's coming because of tenacity, frankly. That Foreign Secretaries kept going. They're really clear. They're not letting up on this. It's very difficult to maintain public interest, of course, and that cynicism actually plays from both sides, from this side into that conflict, as well as somebody's fault. Of course, war is always someone's fault. But I have to say, I'm not a particularly active person, but I've been hugely impressed. Yeah.
And the UK government have actually given a lot more money than is their fair share, of course.
They've put way more money on the table than many countries for the aid effort, which is commendable. And we have a proud history in this country of being there for others. Of course, we're connected to the history of Syria very strongly as well. So I think all that is playing in a good way. Is it producing the ultimate thing that everyone wants, which is a cessation of the conflict? Not yet. I think we're some years away from that still, frankly, which is a bleak outlook, which means we in this room and everybody else who cares have to be there for these people in their darkest hour. It really is the darkest hour for Syria. We're not giving up. We never give up.
Thanks, Gareth. And thank you all for listening to us chat. Right.